Hello, and welcome to the Lodge. Here's to your good health as we begin this presentation. Today, I'll be introducing a topic that I plan to revisit on an ongoing basis. I'm going to be talking about hope. I'm going to start by talking about the importance of hope. My motivation for starting this series is, number one, I believe hope is important, and secondly, I believe there is a void related to hope. There is a void in terms of people experiencing hope. There's also a void when it comes to people talking about hope for the purpose of increasing hope. My intention is to help fill that void, not entirely with this post, but by covering the topic multiple times. Let me start by asking the question, is hope important? I think most people would answer yes. I would answer that way too. Hope is important. It's hard to move forward in any endeavor when there is no hope. Hope can get you through your day. It can get you through a bad situation. Losing hope can transform a good day into a bad day. Losing hope can be devastating. We can consider hope from the perspective of various worldviews. I'm speaking primarily from a Christian perspective. If you do a search on hope in the Bible, hope is mentioned a lot. For now, let's focus on one verse. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 13. In the ESV, it says, "So now faith, hope, and love abide. These three, but the greatest of these is hope." Love. That's the final verse in the love chapter, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. That chapter is often used at weddings. No doubt brides are inclined to request it. She and the groom are in love. Their love is important. They need the pastor to talk about love. The groom goes along with it. The context of the chapter is actually not couples celebrating the nuptials, facing the prospect of living the rest of their lives together. In the chapter, the Apostle Paul is providing a message to the church, like the rest of 1 Corinthians. It is a message to the church. Couples on their wedding day are a subset of the church, but the book of 1 Corinthians and chapter 13 are for all of us who are Christ followers. I've heard pastors cite that verse and then go on to talk about love. Tell me in the comments if you've heard that. It's a natural progression. Love is the greatest, and so now the pastor's going to talk about love. Faith is on that short list too. Let me ask you, have you ever heard a pastor use that verse to lead into a discussion about faith? Not me. Again, let me know in the comments if you have. Hope is on that short list too. Hope is important from a biblical perspective. I've lived my entire life in the realm of Protestantism. My observation is that in that world, pastors in particular spend a lot of time talking about love and faith, but not as much time talking about hope, even though hope made it to the short list in verse 13. Let me know what you think. If you exist outside of Protestantism, maybe it's different for you. Let me know. Let me know your observations. There are reasons why people are reluctant to speak about hope. Hope is related to the future. People who are actually grounded in reality understand that they have very limited ability to predict the future. They have limited ability to guarantee future events. Love and faith can be used and applied in the here and now mostly, but hope by definition always involves the future. Sometimes it's the near future, sometimes it's distant future, but always the future. If you're grounded in reality and maintain integrity, you have to proceed with caution if you're going to talk about hope. Sometimes it's just easier to talk about love and faith or something else. Pastors or other speakers aren't criticized for talking about those things. The bride on her wedding day will be happy to hear a message about love. Pastors aren't necessarily going to be criticized for talking about hope. However, it requires work to provide a convincing message about hope. You have to build a case for hope. Platitudes are easy, but as a general rule, people aren't swayed by platitudes. I've been around some people who speak in platitudes. They seem to think they are relaying a message that is really profound. Mic drop announcements. But mostly, they just sound like a greeting card. It's not that they're saying things that are false. It's just that what they're saying lacks depth. If you're talking to a couple on their wedding day, how do you construct a message of hope for the couple? A successful marriage depends on a lot of things. To construct a convincing message of hope for the couple, you would have to build a case that these two particular people could live together over the long term. That's with all the baggage that each one brings to the union. Additionally, you would have to build a case that they could live through all the circumstances that this couple will encounter. You would have to do that without sounding like a greeting card. Christian pastor would also have to say that God needs to be at the center of the marriage. God can keep the couple together. You would have to make the case that based on these two individuals, them successfully dealing with circumstances and the goodness of God, a pastor would have to know the couple. A pastor would have to know the couple, know the circumstances. Probably easier to revisit the love chapter, take a concept intended for the church at large and apply it to the two people standing at the altar. It's been done before, it'll be done again. I'm not sure how closely anyone pays attention to a wedding message with everything else going on, but that's what you would have to do. That would be a big challenge. When speaking about hope, a Christian or other spiritual person is able to incorporate God into the mix. That is an advantage when it comes to hope. God can see the future. God can even guarantee the future. However, I can't see what God sees. I can't control God to make him do what I want. I can't manipulate God or bargain with him to do what I want him to do. And there's the challenge, finding hope in a God who can know the future and can control outcomes. Another reason for not talking about hope may be that it's really only something we bring out when it's not the best of times. Times are actually okay right now. We don't need hope. Maybe we're manufacturing a crisis. If we talk about it, people will think things aren't going so well. And we don't want people to be depressed. The truth is, we live in a fallen world. When we live in a fallen world, it is actually always not the best of times. There is never a time when hope isn't important. Remember Paul's short list: faith, hope, and love. Is there ever a time when you could dispense with faith and hope? I don't think hope was supposed to maintain a part-time presence in our lives. That's not to say there are not bad times and times that are worse, even much worse. In fact, the more desperate the situation, the more the longing for hope. I am making the claim that maintaining hope is a fundamental part of a healthy existence. Tell me if you think people have enough hope in their lives. I believe people need hope. A lot of people need more hope. There are a lot of bad things in the world. It's easy to see bad stuff in the world. It doesn't take critical insight to find bad stuff. Just look up and open your eyes and you can see bad stuff. Venture out into social media. Most commentators exist to point out the bad stuff. I believe it is beyond the skill level of most of those commentators to provide a reason to hope that is well justified and well reasoned and that isn't just platitudes. I'm going to repeat what I said in my intro video. There are bad things in the world, but the important thing to remember is who is really in control. The words that we live by at the lodge come from the Bible, from the book of John, chapter 1, verse 5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. With that knowledge, we have hope. We follow the light, and we move forward in that hope. Light disperses darkness. That's how we live, knowing there is light even though there is darkness all around us. So my intention is to provide well-reasoned grounds to hope. Stick with us here at the lodge. See if we're up to the challenge. Like and subscribe. Comment. Let us know what you think. Check out our Substack page. The link is below. Keeping in mind that hope is important and maintaining hope is important. May God's light shine on you. And here's to your good health.